Welcome into the live stream here for episode 224 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That is Tyler.
What it is, sir?
Not much. I got a little late start today. Tyler had to drive back from
The coast.
the Gulf Coast. I had some basketball media stuff at 3 o'clock, so we're going a little later today. Happy NBA opening day to those of you who celebrate as I do. Got some NBA tonight.
I will actually watch today.
Yeah.
I want to see it's Turn the Page Tuesday. You know what else we're turning the page on today? We're now, congratulations, your favorite sport now hands out participation trophies to NBA players. They allow them to play. So we'll get to see a participation trophy handed out in LA this evening at 9 o'clock. But I'm going to guess it's going to be at the start of the second quarter.
That is correct. That is when Bronny James will make his
when they hand out participation trophies.
NBA debut. He'll play on the same court with his dad.
You can, too, make it to the NBA if your father is one of the greatest players of all time and he makes the plays for 22 years.
Yes.
That's how that works.
That's how it works.
Doesn't matter if you can play or not. Doesn't matter if you're an NBA quality player or not. You know, just because you score 2 points a game in college in 1 year, by gosh, you can go play for the Lakers in year 2. Let's go do it.
You know, it's funny.
I'm on one of the moves today.
It doesn't bother me the way it bothers other people. I'm like, okay.
It actually does bother me.
Yeah, it's not going to last long. They're going to get it out of the way.
He'll be cut 5 minutes after his dad retires. Okay, 7.
But, I mean, like, we do this in life. This happens in life. I mean, you meet people. There are people like, for example, in coaching. Are there people who get an opportunity in coaching? Because
absolutely. That bothers me, too.
But it's life.
I know.
It's life.
It still bothers me, though.
If your dad's a U.S. senator, you probably are going to have a hand up on the intern program to get the deal. This is just the real world.
Yeah, it's just the real world.
It's the real world. And so at some point, here's the thing. Is he getting an opportunity that he wouldn't otherwise get today? Yes. But at some point, for Bronny James to stick or not stick in the NBA, he'll either prove that he is or is not an NBA caliber player. And so at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. He's going to get a few minutes today. They can get it out of the way. It's energized his dad, which is why the Lakers did it. Because the West is a bitch, okay? I mean, making a playoff spot 1 through 6 in the West, you're gonna have to be really effing good, okay? I mean, they're not gonna be any average teams that slip into the playoffs when you have a conference that's got the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, the Phoenix Suns with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, those cats. Most people are like, they're 6th, 7th in the West. 6th, 7th. The Pelicans, what if Zion's healthy for the whole year? What if he plays great all year? What
if I grow hair?
Well, but he was pretty good last year, and then he got hurt. He got hurt late.
Yeah.
But what if, the list goes on and on. What if Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs take another jump? My point is the Lakers aren't going to give Bronny James a season's worth of minutes if he doesn't earn them. They're not. Because they won't make the playoffs that way. And at the end of the day, they're paid to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be – I get why people are, like, doing this thing. But it's like, okay, the guy is unquestionably one of the best 5 players to ever play the game.
Oh, yeah.
And so, of course, that's going to earn him some stuff. And in this case, it's his son, gets drafted in the second round, and is going to get some – throwaway minutes early in the second quarter, and if he plays like shit, they're going to pull him. And they probably won't keep doing it, and this will not be a story come February.
You know somebody's going to be trying to dunk on him. They're going to try to put him on a poster the first first possession.
In the same way they're going to do every rookie.
Yeah.
That's just welcome to the NBA. Like I said, he will either earn his keep in the NBA or he won't. And the same thing applies to Dalton Knecht, who was their first-round pick. The same thing applies to
yeah, you got me off.
Reed Shepherd with the Houston Rockets, who's the favorite to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. You don't think guys are going to try to cook Reed Shepherd?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just welcome
to the NBA.
Last year, people tried to cook Chet Holmgren. People tried to cook Victor Wembanyama. You're a rookie in the league. Hey, they're going to go after your ass. They're going to make you prove.
I'll be excited
that you
to see
play.
how Wembanyama, how
he's a freaking beast
in year 2 from 1.
He is a special generational talent. And you
didn't mention them, by the way, in the West.
Yeah, I did. I said the Spurs. What if Wembanyama makes a leap?
Yeah,
I think they're probably a year away. But what if they make a leap? I mean, listen, it's why I love the NBA. There's so many
basically
good.
What you're saying is it's good to be in the East this year.
Yes,
it's good to be a Celtics fan.
Well, like the Hawks will probably be a playoff team well under 500. The West teams, it's going to be brutal.
Did they and forgive me, I haven't been engaged in the NBA in a long time. But do they still play each other 3 times, or is there like in baseball? Have they changed to where they play?
No, it's
3.
It's still staggered.
Okay,
West teams play West teams more.
Oh, they still do.
The West teams only play the East teams twice,
so they play 4 and 2 now.
Yeah,
gotcha. All right, let's crank her up, dog. We got a special guest today.
Welcome into episode 224 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready, joined as always by Tyler Siskey here on this Tuesday afternoon. Turn the page. Tuesday. 14 days.
14 days.
14 days.
Scoops, why don't you let the fans in in about 23 minutes? Tell them what we're adding a little special emphasis to the old Turn the Page Tuesday today.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it today. We're gonna turn the page. We're gonna roll. We got stuff going on. It's homecoming parade night for Oxford High School.
I got to be there. Or I'm gonna be sleeping on your couch.
Siskey's got to go. I got stuff tonight. Tonight's I tape a show with Pete DeWeese on Tuesday nights. We got to do something about 2 weeks from tonight because I got conflicts. Got conflicts in 2 weeks. I got soccer and
that happened to you during the debates too, right?
Yeah, everybody's doing everything on Tuesdays.
Like you're the one person that wants to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glued.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get to that. Former White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, is a good friend of mine.
Yep,
is going to join. We'll have some fun. He has questions for Tyler that are football related.
I got questions for him.
Tyler's got questions for him. We're going to ask about.
See what he doesn't know. What he doesn't know.
Well, he's watching.
Is he watching right now?
Probably is.
Okay. I know peoples too. I know peoples that know him.
I know.
Very, very closely.
So
he doesn't know that. So I got some.
He does.
Some good stuff.
He does know that you did some digging on him today.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the call got. No, I didn't tell him. The call got back to him. I didn't tell. He told me that he found out you were digging, and I said, "Look, he's a football coach.
He knows who did it.
These are people who script.
He knows who did it because I'm sure the person that I called said he actually think he said he was going to call him or something.
So it wasn't me. I was busy. I had stuff to do.
I mean, come on.
I had stuff
to do. I didn't stitches.
Yeah, I didn't snitch because I didn't have time to snitch.
All right.
We're brought to you each and every show. This is 224 of them. We're brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, 0 sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Neal, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is hot, and it's going to be bumping here in just a little bit. Just to remind everybody, they have a manager special today on the brand new 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe. Hurry, they are priced low, and they won't last long because they're switching over. Make sure you go see our good friends at Cooper Chevrolet. They have over 55 additional Tahoes ready to go. Give our good friends at Cooper Chevrolet a call at area code 256-236-4481. Scoops are also brought to you, and Brandon's going to love this episode, brought to you by our good friends at PTG Outdoors. This is right up his alley. They are a Camus boats dealer. They have both fresh and saltwater boats. They sell and service Mercury outboards. They do custom marine electronic installations with Garmin, Humminbird, and Lowrance products. You can get all your fishing needs and custom golf cart retrofits where they replace all of the batteries with a single lithium battery. Located right there in Grenada, Mississippi. Go to their online store. Doesn't matter if you're on TikTok, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, or you listen to us on Spotify or Apple. Go to their online store at ptgoutdoors.com or give them a call at area code 662-459-9311. All right, Scoops, we're going to roll. I got like 20 minutes to go through this. I'm going to skip all around on you here, okay?
All
so
right.
just bear with me here.
Do it.
Try to get
go
this in.
for it.
All right, so we're going to do a little NFL, and then we'll hit some college, just the key college games on all those. NFL, the final stats came in from last week. Neal and his proxies went 7-4. They actually gained plus 3.02 units. brings Scoop's overall record to 35, 46, and 2, minus 8.33 units. Your boy was on fire. I went 8 and 3, plus 5.75 units at my money line. That puts me at 43, 38, and 2, plus 6.2 units. I will take into week number 9. I will take a 14.53 unit lead. I extended it back. All right, NFL things real quick. Chris Godwin, I got a chance to watch. You actually, how about? I realized last night I went and spoke, and I got back at halftime. I was about third quarter of the Ravens and Broncos game, and I got to see the whole second half. That was the first NFL football I have missed all year long. I have an NFL problem.
Wow,
I mean, literally, that is the first time I have not had a full game on my device on a device the entire year.
This is why you have a 14-unit lead.
Well, it's NFL. I've been doing well in NFL. I
sort of half watched the first half. I watched some of the Manning casts. We had stuff going on. I was talking to the people. Then I went to bed at halftime.
All right. So in the Tampa Bay game, Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Buccaneers, is getting all kinds of grief from the media. I want to talk about this. Chris Godwin dislocates his ankle. Is bad. It was upside down. I dislocated my ankle. It sucks. Probably he's going to have a tib or fib fracture along with he's done for the year, right? That's bad enough. Earlier in the game, Evans went out with a hamstring, like legit, like maybe even had a partial tear. I mean, it was not a normal hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike Evans is out. Now Godwin, they're their two best playmakers. He dislocates his ankle. Well, after the game, some ass clown in the media, and I'm calling him an ass clown, some ass clown in the media, and all these fans are criticizing Todd Bowles for why was he playing in quote-unquote garbage time. Dude, they're down 10 with the ball with a minute and 50-something seconds left to go in the game. They just got an onside kick, like a couple possessions. They were scoring every drive. Like, the game is not over. That's one. So it wasn't garbage time. But two is this. Like, if you're covering the team and you don't understand how the NFL works, going into that game, you only dress 5 wide receivers. Well, Mike Evans is out. So only had 4 wide receivers. What did they think he was going to who they think was going to play wide receiver? Like, there's nobody left to play, right? I mean, you just don't have bodies.
Figure it out,
And so for them to get over, but that's the whole thing is like, and everybody's like, they're on his ass. I mean, I'm talking about there were people calling for his job. I mean, they're crazy. And so my message is for all you people that are bitching, okay? I know it's hard for you guys, but these are the same people that take pictures, okay? Want a team picture in the travel ball tournament in the bronze bracket when they get runner-up rings in a 3-man bronze bracket. These are the same people who want to take team pictures with their freaking $3 ring in the bronze bracket of a freaking loser's bracket. It's participation trophy shit. Drives me nuts. Same people. It's turn the page fucking Tuesday, Scoops. Same people. Want something for nothing. The Lions, Jameson Williams, two game suspension for performance-enhancing substances. They haven't come out and said yet.
He should have tried his Rain body fuel instead.
He should have gone. I imagine this is what that is. It's probably something that he took and didn't know what it was, because a 2-game suspension is like, hey, asshole, read the label next time. It's not, he wasn't taking juice or he'd be out for a year. So I'm kind of curious. I think it's funny.
Jameson.
All right, here's the deal. I think this is not funny. I think it's interesting they're not telling you what it is yet.
I've got some theories already.
I do too. There's some stuff, Scoops, you can go buy at the old gas station that some young gentlemen think that the young gentlemen like to take.
Think it's going to enhance another performance?
Yeah. that will pop your ass with some of those tests. So I'll be interested to see if they come out and say,
listen,
what it was.
Jameson, listen, next time, my guy, you just want to
No Diddy.
You want to feel something different? Jameson, go to Wendy's. Get some nugs, not dipped in sauce. No. Jameson, no.
No, dude.
You got 2 weeks now, Jameson. Get them covered in sauce. Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love, turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like honey, barbecue, buffalo, garlic, parm. And listen, this might be what happened. He might have gone to Wendy's to get the saucy nugs and said, hey, I want some of those spicy ghost pepper.
I bet the ghost pepper did it to him. I bet that sauced him up.
That popped the test.
He got sauced up.
So, Jameson, I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways, my friend, for you to try the nugs you already love. You know you love them. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins. You got time. You got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to go get all the napkins you can get. And so, Jameson, I challenge you to nug like you've never nugged before for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's.
Sauce Gardner didn't get that nickname for nothing.
That's
Scoops.
right. That's right.
All right. Last thing, Tua's going to try to practice tomorrow in efforts to be cleared on Sunday. A lot of people have opinions on this. And I've been asked 47 times. I got asked last night about 14 times about this. Tua, is he going to play? What should he play? Should not play? All this stuff because he's actually going to play. And then his comments really bothered people because they asked him if he's going to wear the Guardian hat, as we like to call on this show, the helmet condom. Look, he said no. I don't want to see anything bad. I have two views here. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. I know the family. I don't want to see anything bad to happen to him because I respect for him as a person, as a competitor. But that's also the exact same reason that he is playing. It's very difficult. It's easy for people that are on the couch watching him on TV. It's like, man, you don't need to play. Go take your money and go. But like, if that's who you are, it's very at that age, and he's still young. I think it's very hard to turn that off. I think if he was older, like you see all the players that are there, you make a change as a human being in your 20s as you do your 30s and your 40s. You get a little more wisdom, those things, but I just don't want to see anything bad happen to him, but I also understand why he's doing it.
I understand why he's doing it. I also understand the people who are saying, come on, man.
Yeah, I see both sides, right?
Don't do this to yourself.
So, but
I get it. I get both sides of it.
But I can tell you, he's going to play, and so the best thing to do is just support the guy. Nobody wants to see anything bad happen to him. It's a sad deal, but obviously he's cleared, and it's a medical decision, and he wants to play. So he's a competitor. It's hard to turn that stuff off. All right, Scoops, turn to page Tuesday. We got about 12 minutes to roll through these before we get our guest in here. Turn to page Tuesday. Just to remind everybody, we got CUSA midweek games tonight. We got. I'm actually in it because I got friends there. I'm telling. And you got a La Tech playing. All right. So Sam Houston is 5-2. They're traveling to FIU. Big game for my guy Mike McIntyre tonight.
Rustin's other team.
Yep. And Mike McIntyre and the FIU, they've been up and down. Quarterback's pretty good. If the quarterback's a go at FIU tonight, I actually like FIU to win this game outright. This would probably be a money line pick for me if we had picks already up. I like their chances if the quarterback's going. That's why that line started moving a little bit because that tells me he's probably playing. UTEP's at La Tech. How about that? UTEP wins Scotty Walden and UTEP wins their first game last week. They're traveling to I bet that's going to be a packed house there in Ruston.
Joe IA Stadium will be hopping tonight, boy. Woo! There'll be 10 people there.
And then tomorrow you got two huge spreads, but you got Liberty at Kennesaw State and you got Middle Tennessee State at our Fighting Rich Rod, Jacksonville State. Gamecocks, both of them, Liberty's a 24.5-point favorite. Jacksonville State is a 21-point favorite, and it's setting up next week will be a good game. I'm telling you. Liberty goes down next week. Jacksonville State will go to Liberty next week. They will win the game. Liberty is going to pop their ass. Jacksonville State's going to pop that ass next week.
Okay.
All right, big games around. So this is going to happen Thursday night. Syracuse at Pitt. Funny game. Syracuse only got one loss traveling to Pitt. Pitt's a 6-point favorite. Pitt's on this ACC thing, right? So you're looking up. Everybody's talking about Clemson. Everybody's talking about Miami. But the way the schedule works out, now SMU is going to play Pitt in a few weeks, but SMU, Pitt, Clemson, and Miami, you may have 4 teams in the ACC. They're going to get to 10 wins. And so somebody's not making it. And so you got to try to find a way to do – I think they're going to be – of all leagues, ACC is going to be on resume watch. So that's a big game, obviously, for Pitt. Boise, Friday night, line is moving. Great game Friday night. Boise State at UNLV.
Oh.
Best Group of 5 game of the year so far.
That is.
So that will be in Vegas. So I'll be interested to see how many people are in Vegas. All right, game I'm very curious about. I've been asked a bunch. This game is in New Jersey at the Meadowlands, or where they MetLife, or where they call it now. Notre Dame. What's your feeling on this? Notre Dame 12.5-point favorite against Navy in MetLife.
I haven't seen Navy play. it feels like a big number, but Notre Dame's kind of popped some people here lately. So I kind of wonder if this is going to be one of their, hey, this was cute, but we're going to get you games.
When Notre Dame here's I'm having a tough time on is they opened the season with Army and then opened the season with Navy in the last 2 years, and they drilled their eyes out, okay, because they had all off season to prep and work. Well, now you got new teams. Those kids that were on that team probably not on this team. Getting ready for this offense on a short week is tough, or just in a week is tough. Mm-hmm. I'm curious. Now, the thing that sucks is I think Army has the best chance personnel-wise to beat them. But Army plays Notre Dame after, so they're going to get work. They're going to have 2 weeks of work in triple option assignment football. So I'll be interested to see how that works out. A game that you will be attending bright and early on Saturday morning, the Oklahoma Sooners are traveling to the University of Mississippi. The line's at 18 now, 18 and a half?
I haven't looked today.
I wrote down the wrong number.
It was 19 and a half.
19 and a half?
Yeah.
I'm not touching the number. I'm not touching that as a spread, but I like the under here. You got new play callers, never called before. You got going back to Jackson Arnold. You still have, I know they're probably going to get some guys back at receiver. Oklahoma's they're young and they're beat up and they're inexperienced on offense. They're going to have a tough time, I imagine, scoring against Ole Miss. And then just vice versa, I think Oklahoma's defense is really good. The thing I'm curious about, I know you've probably worn it out on your shows. The thing I'm curious about is the new personnel up front at Ole Miss. How much does that help improve offensive line play? So if they play well and they play together, then I think they can cover. But I do think I like the number. I like under 48.5 in this game. It should be one of the Big Ten games of the week, but it's not with this line. Illinois, the one-loss Illinois is traveling to Oregon. Oregon is a 21.5 point favorite at home.
It's a big number.
It's a freaking huge number. Not touching it. I wouldn't be surprised if they cover, but I'm just not touching it. Be watching it, but that
kind of comes down to whether Illinois can get 14 to 17 points. If they can, Oregon's probably not covering the line.
Yeah, I think Oregon. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Oregon scores like 35.
Yeah,
no more.
Right, I do too.
No more.
They get to about 35, and it comes down to whether Illinois can get past 14.
Yep, I like that. It's a good thought. Crazy spread to me. Undefeated by BYU traveling to Central Florida, who's basically a 500 team. Pick them.
Yeah, UCF's been weird. They've played a lot of close games.
Well, they ran for like 330 something yards last week and lost. So that's where that is. All right, Missouri turning the page, going to Alabama. Alabama's a 13.5 point favorite. Not touching this. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. I don't.
It's an elimination game. Loser's done.
Alabama's. I think Missouri
would be 2 losses, but their resume would be so bad. This is a stay alive game.
Who's Missouri got left?
Oklahoma, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, Arkansas.
Gotcha. I see your point.
Their resume would suck. Their biggest win would be Boston College.
Probably.
So it's not enough.
Yeah.
As you say, it's not enough.
It's not enough.
So they need to win. But Alabama obviously has 2 losses, so a third loss is there.
Yeah, they got their own.
I think Bama's losing at LSU anyway. So this is
I think that's going to be a pseudo play-in game.
Bama LSU.
Yeah, winner probably going to.
Well, LSU Texas A&M is a fascinating game Saturday night.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and cover it.
I need
now.
3 TVs. Because I'll be home because Ole Miss plays at 11.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Thunder Bulls on one TV.
Okay.
Say what you want. I don't care. Come
game
at
2
me.
or 1?
Probably 1.
No, I'm saying is it
game 2?
Game 2 season.
I'll have World Series on because I'm fascinated. Dodgers, Yankees. Yeah. I mean, if you just remotely like baseball, you're interested in that. And then I'd like to watch LSU Texas A&M, but I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of like, so I might put LSU Texas A&M on a computer screen.
All right, Texas A&M was favored by 2.5. I'll go ahead and let you know, and let your proxies know. I'm picking this game, and I'm taking LSU. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter if I'm taking the money line or the points. I think LSU wins this game outright. I like the matchups.
I do too.
I like the matchups. I like the way they're improving every single week. Texas A&M, they win this game if they show up like that. If the Connor Wegman that played against Missouri shows up, that's how Texas A&M wins the game. But I like LSU to win the game outright. Texas is traveling to Vandy. They're 18.5-point favorites. And then the weird, I guess 247 allegedly got hacked. I tried to source this out today. Lately, I got a lot of stuff going on today, so I was behind getting this sourced. I'm going to find out. There was a very odd deal. Did you see this yesterday?
Yes.
So 247's come out and said they got hacked. That was a very 247 looking-ish like that was professionally done. That was a very similar artwork. I would like to know the rest of the story on that. That just seemed like that felt weird to me. So we'll cover the rest later. No big deal. We got a special guest. I'll let you do the intro.
Yeah, I'll do it 1 second. I'm getting this here.
Man, Scoot's producing skills.
I'll wait for him to appear. Our friend Hogan Gidley is going to join momentarily. He's in our green room. He must be enjoying some of the snacks in our
snacks,
in
drinks
in our green room.
What did you put in there today?
Some M&Ms, some martinis.
I like it.
Little tequila.
All right, let me know. I'll shut up when he shows up.
There he goes.
Oh, is he there? We'll pull him over.
Former White House Deputy Press Secretary. Did I get that right? Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, and now a political consultant for lots of people. He is Mike. Most recently, Speaker Mike Johnson. He joins us here.
Yep, do some work for Mike. Sure.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we hear you great.
Got you. Hogan, how we doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm doing really well. Had a long day. You're my second podcast of the day.
That's
my
nothing.
Third or fourth TV hit.
I mean, that's nothing. I mean, I've done. You're my fourth podcast of the day. I don't want to. What do you? Oh, and I did a couple of TV hits because there's like an election coming up, so I'm a big deal. Look.
No, I wouldn't say like that. I'm just saying,
Oh,
hey,
no,
man,
no,
we
no,
got,
I get
we
it.
got
No, it's
stuff
cool.
to do.
It's
It's
all
Turn
good.
the Page Tuesday.
Turn the page.
You know what I mean?
Turn the page.
Hogan, 14 days. 14 days.
All right. So, in all seriousness, what is
Can't come soon enough.
For a political consultant who is doing some campaigning and such? What are these days like coming down the stretch? Does it feel like Groundhog Day every day, or do you smell the finish line?
Yeah, there's kind of like a utopia where there's going to be more stuff that comes out in the next several days that quote unquote October surprise. You're talking 2 weeks left. So, but at this point, it's almost too much to set. You can't really get any negative out. Like it's kind of baked a little bit. So it comes down to ground game. It turns down to voter mobilization and registration and poll watchers and poll workers and ballot chasers and ballot harvesters and all of it's the blocking and tackling, right? It's the big uglies that win you the game. Same thing here. It's what can you do to get the vote out at this last minute. And so I've been on the Trump bus tour with some surrogates through North Carolina, Georgia. I'm going back to Pennsylvania this week too, I guess. So just going all over the place, kind of, sell the successes for the last couple of weeks.
All right. I'm curious about this because I've listened to a lot of political podcast type things today. And one of the podcasts that I listen to routinely, the entire first block was about polling. And it was really good. It was about, hey, this poll says this poll's sort of bullish for Harris. This poll over here is sort of bullish for Trump. There's a story where a guy's trying to dissect the 2016 polling data and how it was so off, and the 2020 polling data was off, and then the 2022 polling data was better, but Trump wasn't on the ballot, so you don't know whether this is a Trump phenomenon. I'm curious. This isn't a right-wing, left-wing, Republican, Democrat question. I'm curious, though, as a political person, what polling data do you look at and put stock in? Is it just your internal stuff, or do you look at the Real Clear Politics averages? What do you do to sort of get a gauge in your own mind as to, hey, here's where I think we stand on the scoreboard right now?
Yeah, I think Nate Silver's pretty good for as far as polling's concerned. I do think the Real Clear Politics average gives you a good aggregate of exactly what's going on in a lot of these states. The internal numbers are very good. I say very good. They're good for the Trump team right now. I've talked to reporters on the national level who tell me they're freaking out on the Kamala Harris campaign right now. Leftist reporters are telling me that the Kamala campaign's nervous. But again, it's still a long time between now and Election Day. Voting totals are up for Republicans doing early voting, which is a good sign. A lot of more people have registered as Republicans in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Nevada than they have registered as Democrats in the last cycle, which is good, between the last two elections, which is a big thing for the Republican side. So again, the real question for me is, Neal, Tyler, I don't know if they fixed it or not. So in 2016, Trump was at 43.4, somewhere in there, right around this time, and he finished at 47. He was at 44 in 2020, finished at 47. He's at 47 now. So does that mean they fixed it, or does that mean he's going to finish 3 points higher, closer to 50? And I don't know the answer to that yet. What always makes me furious in these types of elections is like, after it's over, there's a data point that was obvious, but that no one was talking about. It's like, oh, well, of course Trump won. There are 15,000 chinchilla owners in Michigan, and he talked about giving tax breaks to food for chinchilla. Like, some weird thing. Of course Kamala won. Didn't you understand that the ballot was showing, like, this was, that kind of thing drives me crazy because it's a hindsight deal. Like, if you'd have known it, you could have, prepared for it. So that's what I'm kind of most concerned about. But also, I'm paid to be nervous, and I'm pretty nervous. So
if I told you, okay, another question. Your opinion: will we have November 5th, 14 days away? Will we have that night when people go to bed, 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning on November the 6th? Are we going to know who the president is?
I think a lot of that has to do, honestly, with early voting numbers. If Republicans have turned out like these numbers, the trajectory, then you could. Because if Trump were to win that blue wall and he were to win in Pennsylvania and Michigan, I don't know. I think we could know that night. But these things have been decided. Remember, the last election in 3 states, around 42,000 votes. So this stuff's going to has the potential to go on for hours and hours and hours. And by the way, Neal, we do have a deal here, right? We can talk politics, but I got a couple of questions.
We're going to let you talk football, but we're going to let you ask some questions. We're going to let you talk football, but I got 2 more questions. I always do this like with football coaches. Two more questions. Football coaches, I always will say, hey, if the football gods come down and tell you Team X won, what do you think happened? So if the political gods come down, I mean, like we're talking like George Washington and Ben Franklin and all those cats, they come down and go, Kamala Harris won.
Okay.
She won. That's all I'm going to tell you. Kamala Harris won. And then you say to yourself, well, here's what happened. If the gods come down and say Kamala Harris is elected as president of the United States, first female president in the history of the country, et cetera, what happened? What led to her winning?
$1 billion in money and more than $1 billion in free positive television news coverage by media outlets that only work to prop up, cover for, carry water for Democrats. That's what I would tell you.
Would it tell you at all that abortion became a bigger topic, than a bigger thing at the voting box than even anybody thought, including her campaign? Because she obviously doesn't think that, because she's right now just kind of doing Trump is dangerous, Trump is dangerous, Trump is dangerous. She's not going abortion, abortion, abortion. She's going Trump is dangerous. Would it tell even they would have been surprised that was as big of an issue at the ballot box or the battle box as Tim Walsh says, the ballot box than maybe we all thought.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because there are kind of a handful of issues I think that are driving voters to the poll this cycle as opposed to others. Economy is obviously a big one. The left has put a lot of stock in abortion, putting it on the ballot in a lot of places, like George W. Bush put gay marriage on the ballot in 2004 to drive out his supporters. The same thing I think applies here for her. But, you can't sell a bad product. And she's just a bad product. I think one of the things you said when the America gods or however you phrased it, the Constitution gods, I think the condensed time frame too. Remember, Kamala Harris is not good at this. She's just not. And she was on the debate stage with Joe Biden, called him a rapist and a racist, had T-shirts made, ready to go, and never even made it to the first vote in a primary state. Because the more people see her,
she meant in a nice way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, even after she had worked with Joe Biden's son Hunter, who had died of a brain cancer, after she had Joe Biden come out and speak for her in California. So why are you palling around with a racist and a rapist? But whatever. And then when she was asked about it, remember on Colbert, she goes, "It was a debate," and it was like, so it's okay to just call somebody whatever.
All right.
But my point is,
go ahead.
Do what?
No, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, my point is the condensed time frame. I'm convinced if this election was a year long or longer, the more people see her, the more they don't like her. So I think she would have fallen much faster, and I think Trump would be ahead as much, if not more, than he was against Joe Biden when Joe Biden got out. And I think that's what the Democrats are banking on. We can cover for her long enough to get through, the first few months of this and see what we can do.
So if I tell you that if George and Ben and the gang come down and go, no, Trump wins, why did he win?
Trump won because the policies he put in place, these weren't Reagan policies from the 80s, right? This isn't decades ago. This was 4 years ago you could afford gas and groceries. 4 years ago, there weren't people flooded into your neighborhoods allowed to murder, rape, assault, burglarize American citizens. 4 years ago, there weren't wars breaking out all over the world. And he's just likable. That whole thing at the McDonald's, like Kamala Harris could have practiced for that for a year, like she practiced for that dinner party that the whatever publication wrote about because she was so nervous, and she'd have failed. The whole thing would have been scripted. She would have failed. Trump goes in there and is just so relaxed. He's good at this. And campaigning by its nature is awkward. It's weird to go just strike up a conversation with someone eating and try and get their vote. Trump's a billionaire businessman, and he's more relatable to someone who works at McDonald's and drives through McDonald's than Kamala Harris will ever be, and it shows.
All right, last thing, and then I'll let you start grilling Siskey.
Good.
It got announced today. This has been talked about for a while. I think this is big. You're a communications person. You tell me whether I'm wrong. I'll probably fight you on this, but I might cede some expertise to you. Trump's going to do Rogan. Rogan gets massive audiences. He gets big male audiences, white men, black men, Hispanic men. People like Rogan. They listen to Rogan. He does the MMA stuff.
Sure.
He mixes that in. He talks to comedians. He sort of talks to everybody. He has these free-flowing 2.5, 3-hour conversations with people. That's what he does. And he does conversations. He doesn't really do interviews. And people like it. Men like Rogan. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's Let's say that Trump does a 2.5-hour conversation with Rogan and it generally goes well. Does that almost force Kamala Harris, who needs male votes to win this thing? That's where she's struggling. Does it force her to do something like that? Almost like, okay, I've got to do this? Or can she run the risk of, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to let him have that audience, and I'm not going to try to counter it?
She shouldn't do it. Because, again, off script, she's bad. Again, the more people hear her, the more they realize she's more radical than Joe Biden, less likable. I would never advise her. In fact, when she got the nomination via coup, I said, any comms person on her staff that ever lets her talk to a camera without a script should be fired, like ever. And she's been able to do that a couple times, and I think it's shown her to be completely vapid. She is empty as she can be. She can't think on her feet. I was at the campus of East Carolina University yesterday, the Fighting Pirates, and I was taking some pictures with some kids. I gave a little speech before Trump got up, and I was taking some pictures with some kids who actually played for the team, and I was asking about their coach, like what in the world? And Tyler, you'll appreciate it. My dad, as a high school quarterback at Rose High School in Greenville, scored the first touchdown in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
I'll tell you what happened to them. They ran into my boys. They ran into the damn Army West Point cadets is what happened. They ran into this machine.
Yeah, well,
it's not this stuff's not complicated.
We went there for every game until my dad passed away.
Sometimes the answer is right in front of you. You just ran into a machine.
Well, we used to go to a game every year with the family before my dad passed away, and one of the games we went to, they played Navy. It was 74-10 in the rain, Navy, by like the third quarter, and we were like, all right, I think we've
Navy with wet surface.
But I remember East Carolina with like Skip Holtz.
Yeah.
But with Skip Holtz, man, they used to be something. They were winning that division like every year. You know, putting the beat down on Miami. They were good. Anyway, I think as we kind of they've thrown everything at Trump. It's the same stuff. They're ending on the same stuff they started with, threat to democracy and the kind of the stuff. I don't think that's going to move the needle at a time when people can't afford gas and groceries. I don't think. And so Trump is higher in the polls now than he ever was in 2016, ever was in 2020. He is on a trajectory now that is better than he ever was in 2016, ever than he was in 2020. And when you talk to Trump, what he says is, we have the FU voter. And I was like, do what? And he's like, you know, when they leave a polling place and someone says, who'd you vote for? Because our exit polls are always bad. Our voters always say FU. Like, they're not answering that question. I think it's still undersampled a little bit. Pollsters still undersample it, I think. I don't know, man. It makes me nervous. Like I said, I'm paid to be nervous, but I think it's just in a different spot now than it was several years ago. And now there are two competing records. What's unique is you have a guy who was president. He has a body of work running against someone who's the sitting vice president, has a body of work, and crowed about all the times that she cast the tie-breaking vote for this Green New Deal scam, or bragged about the time she was in the room when they decided to pull out of Afghanistan, leading to the deaths of 13 Americans, or bragged about all the stuff I'm going to do on the border when all she did was just leave it wide open. So the records are clear. I just, elections sometimes I don't know. I just don't know.
All right. I told you could have your pound of flesh. So go get him.
No, I don't have.
There he is.
I don't have a pound of flesh, Siskey. I literally have legitimate football questions.
All right, let's go.
I talk to Neal all the time, and he's like, I don't know anything about that. I'm like, well, you got to get Siskey on these things. Like, he knows, right?
What you got?
And
let's go. Let's solve. I got some questions for you too. I'm afraid I got somebody that snitched on me though. I got late notice that you were coming on the show today. I've had a day, and I was like, I bet I know who knows this guy.
And he does.
And they do. And I got some good questions for you too. So go ahead. I got a quick prep. And they may or may not be watching the show right now because I just got a text.
What I miss is the last season was the Road to Boise intro.
That's it. Which
was always my favorite. The way you would
Boise.
cue that up.
Let's go. That's it.
That's right. All right. Here's my question. It seems like this year Ole Miss obviously is a way better run-stopping team than they were in the past. Centurion's better. I don't know how much he's come along, but he's better. He's fast. He's kind of a good spy. Why are there no – that end for Georgia is a freak. Man, that guy's good. His arms 13. Come down past his knees. Like, he is really good. Is there a reason – and maybe we were in it and I just didn't recognize it, but like the Kentucky long fourth down, several fourth downs in LSU, it was like we're not blitzing anybody, or did we and they just picked it up? It seemed like it was a three-man rush. And if so, why?
Well, I think the LSU game, I think they tried early and got stoned. And then when you try to bring, so normally you're going to bring a normal pressure is 4 guys, right? It's not a pressure. A normal rush is 4 players. I think once you start bringing 5 and 6, then you got less and less men's in coverage, right? So you start, and so I think they tried early, and then when you have a quarterback like Nussmeier and you're picking everything up, you're in trouble. And so I think they tried early, and they even tried some 5-on-5 stuff like big on big, and like they had 5-on-5 several times and couldn't get home. Now I think they affected him early. Okay, they affected him early, and I think they made some adjustments in the protection and how they move things. But later they did not sack him. And like I always go back to what my man Tracy Rocker says, right? Tracy Rocker's now D-line coach in the NFL, but he was the D-line coach at Troy when I was there. And he said, you don't have to sack the quarterback to affect him. Now but you got to hit him.
Yeah.
You got to hit him. And they were not hitting him later. And like early in the game, I think he was like 4 of 12 in the Ole Miss LSU game. If my mind's right, he was like 4 of 12 for like 50-something yards or 30-something yards in the first 5 drives of the game because they were pressuring him. And I think as the game went on, they lost that. And so instead, if you can't get there, then you need to play coverage.
Will Campbell.
Yeah, well, the other ones too. I mean, yes, Will Campbell for sure. But the other ones were. And then, LSU's offensive line, which is early in the season, LSU's offensive line, they've been this talented. They haven't been playing like that. And every week that's gone on, that's something we talked about on the show yesterday. LSU's a team that every week that has gone on, they have improved. They've improved on defense, and they've also kind of starting to play to their talent level.
Boy, their line was good in Fayetteville.
Yeah,
it was good.
The Kentucky game, the Kentucky game at the end of the day, it was 4th and 7. It was a big nuts call by Stoops to go for it. That's a very low percentage ball. They just made a damn play. I mean, that's probably that's a 15% completion ball. And so on 4th and 7, that was a big nuts. Like I would be, as the ball was in the air, if I was coaching at Kentucky, I would have just gone, what are we doing? Like it was not a smart decision to throw that ball. It was but it was not a smart decision. So, but the kid made a play.
Well, as I think, Neal, you were talking about, remember last season, a lot of those games went our way, right? They were, Ole Miss, I know you don't have skin in the game one way or the other, but those broke for us. And this year, a couple of them didn't break for us.
I'm a big Arkansas fan. I've been trying to fill you in on this. I've been telling everybody.
Maybe LSU now. You've been twice.
And I've been twice. And ULM, we're a one-loss team. Why we're not getting talked for this national championship thing is beyond me. We've got 1 loss at Texas. That's it. We hadn't lost to any of these other teams.
What are we doing?
It's true.
I mean, it's total horseshit.
A lot of people have 1 loss at Texas. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
All right, I got a question for you.
Well, hang on one second. Just let me make this point. You'll appreciate this because on the campaign in 2020, Neal remembers this story. I was they were doing door knocking, and I had to call in and get them all excited, right? Like these groups I'd be on speaker with hundreds of people around the country doing door knocking. And someone introduced me as going to Ole Miss, and I hear this hotty toddy screaming out in the background, like hotty toddy, great. And we were playing Kentucky on the road, and I think it was the DK game where he caught the last touchdown to win the game. But they're like, do you have any questions for Hogan? And someone was like, hey, do you think we have the people on the ground to win this election, blah, blah, blah. And one guy goes, I got all these questions about Trump and all this, right? And then one guy goes, I got a question. And I was like, sure. And he goes, you think our secondary can stop the passing attack of Kentucky on the road? with all that. You think we know what we can do to break down that defense? Like I want to hang up and listen. And I was like, it's not a sports talk radio show, and I don't know anything about defenses. Like, what are we doing here? It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, they're asking me at Ole Miss. Anyway.
No, you're good. That's I understand.
Go ahead.
I do. I have a serious question before I get to my fun question. When you're out, because you're obviously a big college football fan, when you're out campaigning, especially this time of the year, and it's 24/7, right? Do you secretly? I mean, do you get a chance to watch ball like on Saturday? Because I was like, yeah, if I was running for president, which that'll never happen, but if I was running for president, I'd be like, hey, what's the big game this weekend? I'm gonna say, let's go in attendance for the big game. Like on your phone, you just watch everything on your phone.
I got it on my phone all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious.
We had oh yeah. Now I got to be careful because when I'm around people, it's not pretty. Like when I'm on the Trump bus, I got to like go back in the back because I'm going to jump out of the bus or shout out in anger. So I got to be real careful. But like, I will try to watch it every chance I get. Like we're all planning to come in for the Georgia game because my best friends are all, or my two best friends are from Georgia. One actually is from Athens, and he went to Ole Miss with me, and so the rest of them. And so we always make a big deal out of that game when we get to play. And I hope the election's over a week after it, but we're going to try to all come in for that. So that'll be probably the only live game I get to see. But, you know, it was I was at the one last year in Athens and didn't quite go like I wanted to go, so I was fine.
All right, I got a question for you. As teased, as soon as I knew you were coming on the show, I have and they're listening. I have some relatives that were your coworkers at once upon a time in the White House, and I was like, I bet you know this guy. Give me some good stories. And so the first thing we'll start this with, we're going straight conspiracy theory here. All right.
Okay.
So my brother-in-law, Jonathan Hoffman, when his last I guess assignment, he was in with George W. and Trump, both in the White House, and then his last assignment, he was the spokesperson at the Pentagon, right? And so his last briefing, okay, that he had before, it's like coaching changes, right? When you last press briefing, before he dipped, he decided to release the video of the we call them UFOs in Alabama, but now the new politically correct term is UAEs, right? And so UAPs, excuse me. And so I've asked him, and so I guess what I'm asking you is I've tried to ask him with no luck. He will not help me out. I mean, I've liquored him up. I've done everything I could do because I know he knows and he will not tell me anything. So my question to you is, are aliens real? Are we going to have any luck with you right here on the show? Because I know you know shit, but you're not saying it. So we need to know for the fans.
Yeah.
Do it for the show. This would be a great viral moment right now. If we get confirmation from White House officials, are aliens real?
What if instead I get you guys Trump after Rogan? How about that as like a trade-off? I won't answer this question.
That would be
done.
Done.
I will never ask ever again. I will never ask another soul.
Come on.
Look, as we would say in the White House, I have to refer you to the Department of Defense for anything further on that.
Yeah.
That's what we would have to say.
Hey, what's Trump's?
And Hoffman knows that.
What's Trump's McDonald's order?
Oh gosh, he eats a lot. He likes everything at McDonald's. I mean, he really does. He loves the fries, of course, but he's a trip with that kind of stuff because you know how he's kind of a germaphobe, and in the video where he's like doing the fry basket, he like dumps it out and he's like, see. Never touches human hands. Like he's so excited because there's like no bacteria. Like that's why he eats there. And I was with him at Mar-a-Lago one night. He and I were having dinner together. And he's like, oh, Hogan, we got to have dinner. It's fish night. It's fish night. And I'm like, okay. It's the seafood buffet night. Now, when I mean this is like elaborate, I mean they're killing and cracking lobster right in front of you. It's incredible. And he calls it fish night. And we sit down. He's like, Hogan, eat everything you want. It's all on me. You know that. And the waitress comes over and he's like, I want lamb chops. Well done. Hogan does the same. And I was like, wait, what? And like, it's just everything you see him do on TV is exactly how he is. Like, he's just so much fun. And how many stories and things he will tell you of like Studio 54 and all this kind of stuff that happened in the past. It's just nuts. James Brown story. I mean, just crazy stuff. And he at his heart, at his core, he's an entertainer. And he's also like a host. So he always wants you to be happy. Like, I've seen him at his beach club folding towels and being like, no, it needs to be folded this way, right? Like he'll take little Sharpies and like color in a spot on a railing that's chipped or something, like, and flag it for the staff. Like, yeah, this needs to be fixed. He just wants your experience at his golf courses or whatever else. I mean, how many times he asked me whether or not he should move a tee box? I'm like, man, I don't know. You know, we're at Doonbeg in Ireland or Turnberry, and he's like, Hogan, now I had this thing here. Should I move it back? And I'm like, Mr. President, I don't know. We were playing at his Washington, D.C. course, and he gets out of the cart and says, like, get me Bill. And Bill comes over with the spray can on the trigger, and he's like drawing lines around the green. He's like, this is no good. When you hit the ball, it goes off into the water. That's not fair. It should be this. Bring the green over, and he's telling them how, you know, in the midst of Secret Service all around with these massive guns and weapons, and he'd been shot at once before, and he's telling them how to fix the course to make it more playable for his guests. It just blows my mind. But
were you there? Were you in Butler? Were you in Butler when that happened?
No. I was at Mar-a-Lago after the second attempt. They got the guy at his golf course, and you know, I met with him after because I was at the club. The golf course is 15 minutes from Mar-a-Lago, so it's not like attached to it.
Right.
So I was there for a meeting, and I thought, there's no way we're going to have this meeting, and I'll be damned if he didn't show up and talk for an hour and 40 minutes. It's crazy.
So he just did. Was he shook up? Was he the same way after the first one, or did the first one affect him a little bit more?
Had I not known they'd arrested a shooter, I wouldn't have known anything had happened. He's that relaxed. And I was like, why are you doing this? You know, like in a serious moment. And he's like, I don't have a choice. Like, the country's horrible. They've been kicking us in the teeth now for 4 years. We got to get our country back. And you're just like, man, someone shoots at me once, forget it. Twice, I'll be like Punxsutawney Phil, right? Like, I'll come out one time a year, and that's it. But I have a question. I have another question.
All right, let's go. What you got?
I got two more. Okay, the second one is, when you're trying to scheme and you've got injuries, obviously, like if your line's not good, you got to have your tight end help block. So I understand kind of some of that. The cascading effect of what it does to other players is interesting to me. You know, when Harris goes out, you got to bring someone else into the slot and move your slot receiver. I get all that.
Right.
My question is one of scheme, though. When you're in that situation, it seems a lot of times the only game where I feel like Lane really changed the structure of the offense was that Penn State bowl game where Jackson Dart was getting harassed every play, but he was getting the ball out. It seems like we're still going for home run shots a lot when the little slants or the bubble screens or tunnel screens would work. Is that just Lane, or, you know, what do you see that the average fan wouldn't see?
Well, I think the scheme is getting much more dynamic on defense quickly. iPads, I think, have changed a ton, right? And so we talked about this, I guess, on last week's show or week before last, whenever it was. I think your coaches are seeing things in real time that they were not able to see until Sunday morning, and the game's already over. And so you're seeing a lot of what we call double mug, but guys that are basically looks like it's cover zero. Everybody's walked up, and then they're dropping guys out. And when people talk about why don't they throw the tight end, all that stuff, a lot of teams are showing and trying to mess with five, and especially teams that go 5 and 6 man protection. Teams are showing full blitz, and they're trying to deke and just get a guy to settle his feet. Well, they're dropping zone up underneath, right? Well, that's where the tight end and stuff. And like Auburn lost the game. Grind's in the chat. I know I saw him earlier. Auburn lost the game to Oklahoma because they showed zero blitz, dropped a backer, and Peyton Thorne throws a strike and hits him right in the face because he thought he was hot off the inside slant, right? And so I think that's one reason. And then when you go slide protection and you're doing those kind of things, you're going to end up having like 2 linemen blocking air and a running back off of, trying to block a defensive lineman. And so you get pressure anyway. So I think a lot more teams have gone to more replacing quick game with RPOs. All right. And then taking away their hots are basically outside or they're trying to take shots. Right. So it's really, defense has gotten so complex. Like did you watch any of the Georgia Texas game?
Yep.
All right. So they got the snap count because they're at home and they got them timed out. They were lining up an odd. And when he was asking for the ball. By the time he asked for the ball, they went from odd to 2 threes. We used to call it, split threes, but they went from odd to even and brought, we call it Maka, but basically zero blitz, showing a 3-4 front in a half a second, went from 3-4 to 8-man front with a cover 0 blitz, right? And you're like, I mean, that's just, you can't, you're asking guys to change points literally in less than a quarter of a second. Like guys are coming free. Like it's just not
right.
And so I think my answer is I think that the iPads have made smart coaches smarter because they're able to make adjustments in real time. And the old adage, they make good halftime adjustments. Well, you would like in the old days, last year, you would see what you thought you saw with your own 2 eyes. And so I've said this on here before. When I was on the field, when I coached on the field, sending plays in and all that stuff, I couldn't, and I'm coaching receivers. I can't tell you what the other side did. I had to watch safety, corner, nickel, and the backer and the near DN. And that's how I studied film. And so by the movements of those guys, I could tell you what the other 6 guys did. And
right.
So a lot of times you'd be like, oh, this safety rolled down. Okay. They brought edge pressure. This safety rolled down. That meant the backside corner, who I didn't see. I never looked at him. I knew the backside corner bailed. Even though he was showing press pre-snap, I know he bailed because they were running 3 under 3 deep zone blitz or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that it was a zone blitz instead of a man blitz because I was looking at the corner and he was in zone technique, not man technique. And so you're getting a lot more combo coverage stuff and things like that. And so just the defense has got more complicated.
The other thing
I will say,
Hogan, the other thing that's happened, I don't know this. I'm not doing the study on this, but maybe somebody will. I would love to see the difference in scoring percentage on a team's first possession to a team's second possession, because I guarantee you second possession's lower, much lower. And here's why. First possession things happen. You get the iPads and you get a 3.5 minute TV timeout. Yep. And it's almost like you get to have halftime right now.
Oh, yeah.
You get to go fix it.
Great point.
Hey, it sucks that this happened, but here's why it happened. We're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to fix this, this, and this. And then, hey, next thing you know, that adjustment happened. Offense that just went down the field, 6 plays, 80 yards, they're 3 and out.
Yeah.
And now they're having to make an adjustment, but I think halftime's been minimized. The importance of halftime, they're having halftime every TV timeout. And in the first half of the game, they're having like 7 TV timeouts. Man, they're having halftime the whole damn first half.
Yeah.
In the old days, you used to just hire a guy from your opponent and then put him in the stands with binoculars to like tip off all the plays that were coming.
I know. Assholes too.
Now, I will tell you, when that happened and they like showed it and said on TV, I was furious for 3 seconds. And then I went, now what kind of moron lets that guy go to another team and then doesn't change the play? That was my first thought, or second thought, but it took 3 seconds to go. That's not that guy's fault. It's our fault. So I had your back even back then.
If I was the White House press secretary, do you know how I would have handled that? I would have got a question from MSNBC. They would have asked me a question. And I'd be like, let me ask you a question. Is it really stealing if the guy doing it was his to begin with?
It was his to begin with. It's a great point.
Is it stealing signals if it was his signals to begin with? Or
all right, here's my last question. Here's my last question.
Turn the page.
When I was with my friends in Georgia and Athens and all my Ole Miss guys, we were talking about like put together your all Ole Miss team. So, like, tell me your running back is, right? Is it McCluster, McAllister? Like, who would you use as we were kind of going through all the positions? And we got to quarterback, and everybody was like, Eli. And I was like, hold on. I got to vote for Chad Kelly maybe. I got Swag on my list maybe. I was like, he was in some fights now. Now I know Neal's shaking his head. Corral was really good too. So I was like, who would Siskey take in that situation? If you had now remember, I'm saying not in the team they had. Yeah, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
I want an Ole Miss quarterback pick. If you had Tunsil, if you had Michael, if you had all the pros on your team that you could pick, which quarterback would you take?
I'd take Eli Manning 100,000 out of 100,000 times. Yeah.
We all came to the same conclusion.
Guy's a Hall of Famer. And he's I will say that I'll tell an Eli Manning story that only very few people know. So I was at Arkansas State and we played Ole Miss here. It was a game here in Oxford. I couldn't have been 25, 26 years old. And we literally game planned a blitz. Okay. Had never run it ever. Okay. Had never run the blitz in a game ever. And it was a game plan blitz. And that's back in the 21 personnel days. And we knew about the way it was like a check. Okay. And we knew the right guard was like very light in his stance. And when it was going play action pass, you could tell by his hand. And so when he went the linebacker made a call that went to this blitz. And it was like we were going from a 1 to a 3. We were running like gut cross and all that stuff. The first play of the game, the very first play of the game, sure enough, they come up there and they're in I formation. And here comes the right guard. He's in there. Eli's under center. And he just looks out and he goes, he's coming. This guy right here is coming. And he brings the running back. He says, come up and line up right here. He moved him from the tailback and lined him up in A gap and said, block him. And went and just did a half-ass play action and hit a freaking dig for like 70 yards to start the game. And I was like, that's bullshit. Like, it was literally like he was at our practice. And, hey, so he may have been. But that was the most.
He was there.
But, I mean, that's how you felt is like there's no humanly way possible that he would know. Like, I'm sitting there, and the guy didn't even twitch. He's like, he's coming right this guy right here. And he moved the running back in A gap, and I was just like, guys, we actually played well that day. I said, but you have no chance when shit like that happens. And it's like, when you play great ones, there comes a moment in the game where you realize, like, guys, like, we can sit here and coach our ass off. It's not going to matter. Like, I was at Arkansas State when we went and played Auburn, and they had this first game starter named Cam Newton. Okay. and in the game, Cam was just back there playing normal quarterback, and we were getting after him. We got the ball. We had the ball 1st and 10 at we got a turnover or something. 1st and 10. We're down a score, like 6 or 7 points late in the third quarter at like the plus, 20-yard line. And we didn't score or whatever. But Gus was the offensive coordinator, Gus Malzahn, and he decided, hey, this game's pretty close. We're going to have to start running Cam Newton. Again, no one had a clue, right? Dude, right. They ran like quarterback power or something. And he runs out of bounds on his own on our sideline after like a 20-something yard gain. And this guy's hamstrings look like he's an alien. I mean, the guy was an alien. I mean, I was like, boys, I mean, we have no, and they ended up proceeding, and then Cam Newton, like, they decided to play him, and they beat our ass from that point on. And like, you have no chance of stopping him. It's the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, like when you play against the great ones, it's completely different. All right. I got a question for you. All right, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
What it goes through your mind? Because I understand, like, now that we do what we do. When people ask me dumb shit, I have the freedom of just telling everybody to kiss my ass, and it's like a really great feeling. And so, one thing I've asked a guy that I know that I'm like, okay, what do you do when you're up in front of the podium, you're talking to people, and you're trying to deliver a statement from the White House, and when you go around the room, when you get to that person, it's kind of like on Neal's board. When I look in Neal notifications and I see who left the message, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Like, I don't even have to read the message. I know it's like, oh, all right. I got to where I can click it. This guy's gonna bitch about officiating. This guy's gonna bitch about me wearing a purple hoodie. This guy, I mean, I can just pick. What do you do when you get to to the reporter and they're in the room and you know that you're fixing to get a bullshit question that you want to tell them to kiss your ass and go like, really? But you have to be professional about it. Like, what goes through your mind? Do you actually say in your mind, this is gonna be fucked up, and then I just have to answer it nicely? Or do you ever can you ever have the freedom to just cut loose on them?
Well, me and Scoops have the same, similar jobs here with the reporters we have to deal with. The questions we get, I guess, because he is a reporter. Listen, it's interesting because I think if you could take away all of Donald Trump's policies, you can overturn things on executive orders, whatever. I think if Donald Trump gave us one thing as a Republican Party, and I would argue as Republican communicators as well, it's the authority or the ability to just go, no, you're lying. That's not real. That's not true. And to call out the media for what they've been doing. There is a reason their popularity is somewhere between Congress and COVID. It's because they've been lying to us now for decades about Russia collusion and COVID and Hunter Biden's laptop and all of this crap.
You're telling me the media lies?
Yes. And if you notice,
breaking news,
it's always in our direction. It's kind of like when the algorithm on Facebook screws up and it suppresses Republicans or conservatives. It's like, oh, the algorithm? How come the algorithm never screws up the other way? It's always against us. They're so distrusted at this point. You can get out of it what you want out of it. You can fight with that reporter and get, clicks and some viral moments and push back, and then they'll get clicks for fighting against you as a Republican or whatever. But I think the fight itself is a lot more of the thing now than necessarily even the substance.
The source on this is Gallup. Gallup, Hogan. Okay.
Yep.
The question was, in general, how much trust and confidence do you have in the mass media, such as newspapers, TV, and radio, when it comes to reporting the news fully, accurately, and fairly?
Yeah.
A great deal, a fair amount, not very much, or none at all. Among Republicans, 12%, none at all. Among independents, 27%, none at all. I mean, only 12% of Republicans trust the media at all. Independents is 27%, and even Democrats, 54%. The media has completely, and I'm totally serious. I don't want to ruin the mood of the show here. It is why 2 weeks from now, as an American, scares me, is because something's going to happen, and the media is going to report. The media has built this narrative up over the last several years, but really hard the last few months. I don't know if you heard Mark Halperin on Tucker.
I was supposed to be on his show during this, and I bailed for this, just so you know.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. McCready and Siskey to the top, baby.
Mark Halperin was asked by Tucker Carlson on a podcast. Mark Halperin, longtime journalist, worked for ABC News for a long time. If he has a political affiliation and a political leaning, I don't know it. Mm-hmm. Literally has friends on both sides, both extremes. It was a really well done interview. He was great. Carlson asked him a fair question. He said, what happens if Trump wins? And his response was, the greatest mental health crisis in American history. And Carlson was like, are you serious? And he says, I'm totally serious.
Yep.
10 to 20 million people literally have been convinced that Trump is, whatever term you want to use, the devil, Satan, evil.
Sure.
And it will result in, he said it will result in chaos. And I believe that. And that is a flaw of the media. And then on the flip side, in a world where Harris wins, especially if it's some contested, nasty accusations of cheating, it takes 4 days, we're finding ballots here, ballots there. This is not good for our country.
Sure.
It's not good for our country that half of the country, one way or the other, will not trust the results of an election. We never had this throughout history. You had Kennedy.
Here's a nugget.
You had Kennedy Nixon in 60, but it never became mainstream. Nixon didn't want to go there. Didn't want to have that fight. And it was before social media. It was before Twitter, obviously. Everybody didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have this in even in 2000 when you had a hotly contested race that came down to hanging chads and whatnot. It didn't get this level of nasty. You didn't get this in 2004 when John Kerry felt like, hey, maybe Ohio got taken from me, but nobody could really. We moved on. Obama won in 08. Obama won in 12. You had the Trump-Hillary thing, but even that election was over by the next day.
Yeah.
We're not in a good place if this goes the way that a lot of people think it will go and the way that the media has allowed this thing to become so incredibly caustic.
But again, they don't have anybody to blame but themselves. Listen, 67% of Republicans believe Trump actually won in 2020. 64% of Democrats believe Hillary won in 2016. You don't ever hear that. It has been the Democrat Party since Reagan who has refused to seat electors in Congress after every presidential election they have lost. Every one. Republicans don't do that. Democrats do that. Jamie Raskin, a current Democrat congressman, said if Trump wins, he's just going to move to nullify it immediately. He's not going to certify it, okay, if they take back the House. So this is like you, Tyler, you're asking. So I get this a lot of times because I work in election integrity, and they always say, well, Trump, is he going to accept the results? And it's kind of like, screw you. You guys never accept the results. You called him an illegitimate president for 4 years. The guy, he ran for governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe. He was governor of Virginia. This past election in 2022 against Youngkin said they should have counted all the votes in Florida in 2000. So, like, I'm sorry. It's the whole thing where we have the ability and the authority now, honestly, thanks to Trump, to say, no, I'm not falling for your crap. You guys aren't telling the whole story. You're skewing everything. The left does things that are horrific and horrible all the time, and you don't ever bring that up. So I'm going to do it right here, right? I may be hated for it, but the facts are the facts. And that's one of the things that makes me so frustrated and why I'm so angry, because when I was in the White House, I got to see these things, okay? I know a story that's coming out in a couple of days, for example. They're going to use somebody in the meeting, Billy Badass, off the record, telling us something Trump said. We'll put 5 people on the record who were in the meeting, say it didn't happen, and they'll still run with it anyway. That's the kind of stuff where it's like, no, I'm sorry, I've got no respect for that whatsoever, you know? And dealing with that on a daily basis is one of the most frustrating things. I loved it. But, I mean, your highs are really high in the White House. Your lows are really low in the White House. And a lot of times that has to do with the media, I'll be honest.
I have one request, and if this thing goes good for you in 14 days, is there any way that when the conversation comes up of fixing college football, can I be on a committee?
You know, I actually got to walk Saban around when they came for the national championship, and this was part. You know, we were talking about some of the college football stuff, and interestingly enough, this was after they won. I don't remember what year it was. LSU was the year before. Real quick, 2 quick stories. Saban comes up. I said, Mr. Coach, my name's Hogan. Whatever. So I'm talking to his staff in the Roosevelt room, and Saban's kind of by himself. He's kind of mercurial, right? He's kind of just off over there, just like, I'm ready to get back. It was spring game like that week. So he's like, where's the exit? Like, I need to know where the spring game was. He literally said that to me. I was like, we'll take you. We just got this little thing. He'd been to the White House 6 times and never in the Oval Office until Trump, by the way. And Trump takes a picture with every player. So I'm talking to some of his coaches, and Ole Miss comes up. I said, I went to Ole Miss, whatever. Saban just comes strolling over, and he goes, hey, did you go to Ole Miss, you said? I said, yeah. He goes, my daughter wanted to go to Ole Miss. And I said, yeah. And he goes, and I told her, sweetheart, I know you like drama. That's not the kind of drama we're going to have in this house. And I went, fair. And he walked off. But it was nice. Like we had that little kind of moment, you know. And one other thing, when LSU was there at the national championship game, I'm up in the box with like Drew Brees, all these, football royalty. And Drew Brees' kids were like, we're losing. Like, they were really upset at the beginning of the game. And Drew Brees just looked down at the field and rubbed his kids' heads. And he goes, we'll be okay. But it wasn't like an okay, like, don't worry, kids. It was more like he saw what was going on the field. Like, it was like a football okay. Like, no, I see some things we're going to be fine with. It was just kind of funny. And so I'm looking over and I see it's Joe Burrow's parents. And they come over and they're like, oh, we are big fans. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, thank you. She said, we love you on TV. I was like, this is great. I said, but let me ask you something. You're from Amory, right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, couldn't send him an hour down the road? That's a no-no. Couldn't do that, could we? And they laughed, whatever. Fast forward to when they come to the White House. Joe Burrow's kind of sitting by himself, also a little odd, talking to people. And I go see Joe Burrow, and I walk up and say, hey, Joe, my name's Hogan Gidley. He goes, you're Hogan Gidley. I said, yeah. He goes, the night we won the national championship game, my parents came up to me and go, we met Hogan Gidley in the box.
That's awesome.
I was like, yeah, Joe, I'm a pretty big deal. I don't know if you know about that. Whatever.
Like, hey, and then the other thing, I know we took up a ton of your time.
Yeah.
I did get the word on the street is high quality of a dresser that you are.
Clearly.
The chat's loving the shirt, by the way. So my question is, do you have your own tailor? Like, do you have a tailor in DC that you go to? Is it one guy, or do you have them spread across this great nation?
Here's the secret. And I got asked this question when I was giving a speech in my hometown, actually, El Dorado, Arkansas.
The El Dorado Promise. You know about the El Dorado Promise?
I was the keynote speaker for it this year. So
let's go.
There you go. And the guy who did it, Madison Murphy, I taught his kids tennis. Anyway, I was telling him, this scholarship's fine, but the fact you made a 4-lane highway from Little Rock to El Dorado, you needed like a Nobel Prize for that. Sure. But I got asked by someone raised his hand. He goes, how much that watch cost? And I was like, it's not as much as you think, I promise. And he goes, how about that suit? And I said, all right, guys, I'm going to give you some advice. And everybody kind of leaned. It was like, these are high school kids. They all kind of lean in. And I said, buy on sale, but get a very good tailor. That's the secret. And I have a tailor here, wonderful Asian lady, Miss Anna. And if you're in DC, you know her. She did all the tailoring for the Ralph Lauren store here for years until they got one just recently. But you just got to tailor it.
Okay.
Got to fit right.
All right, you got to fit right.
That's the key.
I like it. I was just, I got that. I didn't want to get into the border policies because I also know that you have a passion for border policies. I did quick, good research. I was on my point today.
You're a coach. You're a consultant by trade, right?
Yes, what you got to do. That's what you got to do. But no, appreciate the hell out of you, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I didn't want, because with Scoots has like the heart. I'm the target market, right? I'm the target market. I'm common sense America. I play dumb. I'm actually semi-intelligent. I play dumb on TV.
What are you talking about? Every word you gave me in those football answers, I'm just nodding along like, yeah. And you're dropping in lingo, and I'm like,
well, that's
sure.
just 3-over-3 blitz zone.
Bear, and then they,
it's where you do the thing. Like, and then they have the ghost blitz, and then you have the tiger blitz, and then you have It's just
the two things. I gotta get on
Sonic blitz. That's the best blitz. The Sonic blitz, baby. When you bring the Sonic blitz,
do you know what Sonic blitz is?
Yeah, it's where you take the blitz and you put in the like the peanut butter, and you just cram it in there and just mix it up, and then you send the linebacker, and you're good.
Hey, all kidding aside, like what's fun? What it wasn't funny. It took a minute, but when you get to like people who like in the Alabama tree that have never been in another tree, they call everything completely different than what everybody else in football calls things. And so, like, I heard Greg McElroy on the call the other day. I don't know what game they had. They had one of the games, and he said, "Oh, they're in blitz coverage." And he just rattles it off like that's what everybody calls it. I'm like, oh, Greg, that's only in the Alabama family. Everybody calls it cover zero. Like you've heard of cover zero.
Yeah.
But if I said blitz coverage, you would look at me like that's cover zero, right? And they call like, they got cover 7 mix, 25 buster is 2-man. Like there's so many like common deals. And so like I remember when Lane, I'll give you, since you're an Ole Miss guy, I'll give you a Lane Alabama story. I remember when Lane got to Alabama, like
keep it safe.
It is very safe. This is a safe Lane Alabama story. And by the way,
okay, good.
By the way, all right. I got to off air, Hogan. I will get your contact stuff off air. I gotta tell you my favorite. I'm talking about my number one. Scoops has heard this, so he knows where I'm going with this. I have a story I can never share on a podcast.
Okay.
About the White House in Alabama. That's my number one. I'm talking about break the internet story I could never tell, but I
think I know it, but okay.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
No, but Lane gets to Alabama. And everything's on the script with the coverage.
That's
where
that's where that cocaine came in the West Wing, right? From out.
That's right.
No,
wasn't Hunter.
Hell,
no, that was somebody else's cocaine.
No,
not Hunter.
But so he would sit there and he walked in. He's like, "What the hell is this?" He's like, "I've been doing this shit for a long time." He's like, "What the hell, 7 mix?" Like I said, those were the coverages. And so you had to go through and explain to him. Like people don't realize, and he thought he was going to go through. I will never forget this. He went through and got him to change the coverages. Okay. Well, Nick, now this is for the offense, right? And Lane's doing what every other coordinator in America would do. On the script, he's putting, cover 2, quarters, whatever, right? And Nick loses his shit because Nick likes Nick's scripts. He'd take a book out there and he liked to know, like he didn't ever tell Lane what to do. But the playbook, that's the thing, what people don't, this, but what people don't realize about Alabama is from 2007 to the day he left, it was the exact same playbook in the exact same terminology on offense and defense. And so the coordinators would come in and call their flavor of the playbook. All right. And so Lane went there and started changing like what he called 7 mix and all this stuff, right? And it was like quarters. Dude, Nick got that script. Like, hey, what the fuck is this? What are we doing? And dude, that was the last time that we had
pretty good
cover 4 and cover 2 on the script.
Pretty good.
2-man was
pretty good impression too.
Yeah. So
well, listen, if I come for the Georgia game, maybe we can do one of these live.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I would love to do it like in
Trump.
Studio.
You can bring Trump.
Crap. I got a TV hit now. I got to go jump on. So
see you.
I really enjoyed this, guys. I'll get your number offline, Tyler, and y'all keep up the great work. It's must listen podcast. I promise.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Very predictably, we got the strike from TikTok during that.
Oh, did we really? For what? What got us?
Don't know. It just said restricted viewing audience only. I just looked over.
Yeah, they looked up, saw him, and said, "Nope,
nope, that's it. That's it." What a time!
That's all right.
You know what today was, Scoops?
I don't.
It was Turn the Page Tuesday.
It was
Turn the Page Tuesday, and I know, Neal. I know that my good friend, our good friend, the show's good friend, PTG Brandon, love that. That's right up his alley. Our good friends at PTG Outdoors, they're a Camus boats dealer. If you like this show, just like my guy Brandon did, make sure you go check out our good friends at PTG Outdoors. They have both fresh and saltwater boats. They sell and service Mercury outboards. They do custom marine electronic installations with Garmin, Humminbird, and Low Ranch products. You can get all of your fishing needs and custom golf cart retrofits, and they wrap too, where you can replace all of the batteries with a single lithium battery. Go to ptgoutdoors.com or call them at 662-459-9311.
Oh, did we say an R? Oh, we did say an R word.
Which R word?
He was talking about it was Hogan. He said he was talking about how Harris called Biden an R word.
Oh, I bet that's what got me or got us. We're good.
Not racist, but the other one that rhymes with racist.
Yeah, that's probably right.
That's probably what.
All right. So, hey, TikTok, if you're on here, I'm cutting this off before we get full banned. Okay. We'll see you guys. Come to MPW Digital if you want to hear the whole interview. Thank you guys for joining. It's self-preservation at this point.
Absolutely. By the way, and that's life advice. Sometimes you just got to turn TikTok off.
Sometimes you got to turn
life
it off.
Advice is presented by Cole Walters of State Farm Insurance. Cole is licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole state of Georgia. Contact Cole at 706-525-7850. You can also find him online at colewaltersinsurance.com. Don't forget, if you ever want to get some life advice, you can send us an email at McCreadyandSiskey@gmail.com. We'll keep it completely confidential, and we'll give you some advice. You've got a parade to get to, my friend.
That's mama blow me up.
You got a parade to get to, so we will wrap it up there. Again, our thanks to Hogan Gidley,
awesome.
Former White House Deputy Press Secretary, could be future White House. Never know. He might be White House Press Secretary because he was the deputy to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's now the governor of Arkansas. She's probably not leaving her.
Probably, yeah.
She's probably not leaving.
Be like I asked Kirby to come back and be the defense coordinator at Alabama.
Probably not happening. We've been brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams, natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more. We will be back on Thursday. We'll have a Make It Rain Thursday.
Make it rain!
And be a big day at MPW Digital.
Hey, guys, look, I know we got a bunch of people in here. Please, we're 480 away from 10,000. 480 subscribers away from 10,000. We're over 70. We're like almost 72,000 on TikTok. Yeah. We need 480 people. 480 people to hit that subscribe button. Get us to 10 grand. Every vote counts. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button.
We want to be there. We want to be there by election day. We want to be at 10,000.
Oh, we can do that
by election day.
That would be 14 days. 14 days.
It's only like 10 a day.
A little bit more
than that. Hey, ULM math. We don't do it. We don't do multiplication.
A little more.
ULM.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we got to go. See you guys on Thursday. For Tyler, I'm Neal. Take care.